Today I want to talk about when people get interior work performed by another shop, or sometimes they do things themselves. I just feel like lately we've been getting a lot of stuff that other people have worked on, and I'd like to point out some of the things that a lot of people do or don't notice that kind of is more or less cutting corners or just really slacking when they do the project. It kind of makes our life a little bit more difficult, which ends up costing the customer more money. This door here came in a big wooden crate with this entire Bronco interior, including seats. The customer said that the doors and the seats had been worked on about 3 or 4 years ago at a shop that's local to him. I don't know the name of the shop. I don't know the name of the person that did it. It's none of my business. I don't really care. But things that they did to this door that are actually going to make our lives a little bit more difficult, which is going to take longer to do these doors than if they were never touched before. So to my understanding, the customer just wanted some plastic repairs done to these, reupholster the insert and put some carpet down here, and do something with this trim up here. No big deal. But yeah, now a few years ago, I'm sure these looked a lot better, of course. You know, it's been a few years, but I do know that it's not the daily driver of the customer, to my understanding. So I don't think there's very many miles on these. But right off the bat, we can tell this vinyl was replaced. And this is all, you'll see this when I put it down more, but that insert's still broken. And there's a big chip back here that wants to just fall right out, but they wrapped the vinyl around to hold it together instead of properly repairing that. This is RTV silicone that is all in the back to hold this insert on. This is definitely one of the more creative things we've ever seen somebody do to hold one of these on. Oh, and the best part, where the plastic was here for the insert, where the screw goes for this window switch cover, busted out, and you can tell they never tried to fix it because they put vinyl there. Why are we not fixing that? And the double-sided tape to hold that on, that's a great idea. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen somebody try and use silicone before. Usually they use screws, which we never ever recommend. You put screws into the little pegs on the back of this insert, and you're just going to split the plastic, and that's the starting point for brand new cracks to make their way through life. But the carpeting, now I'm sure it wasn't scraggly looking like this when they did it. I would put money on that. But it got scraggly like this because this carpeting is actually backed like normal carpeting. It has a backing to it. Whenever carpeting gets put on something that's being shaped like that, you're supposed to use a carpeting that is non-backed, and it's woven together a little bit differently. I actually have some right over here. Let's take a look at this action. This is non-backed carpeting. It's woven together a little bit differently. It's got stretch. It's not going to come apart. But most importantly, when you cut it, because it doesn't have a backing, over time you're not going to get this weird fraying. So we're unsure what happened there, but at least I've also noticed a lot of time other people or shops, they'll just slap carpeting and not even cut out for the vent. So I'm happy that they at least did that. But this is where it gets kind of interesting, and I'm going to pause the video and put the door down and show you other angles here. So not only did they put the carpeting on, and it was incorrect for whoever did this, put it right over the original carpeting. Why are we doing things like this? This is a very poor job. Anybody that does something like this, just please don't. Just don't. And the carpeting originally, let's see if we can get the camera to focus here. And kind of see. Here we go. So the carpeting originally goes into this groove here, so it kind of rolls down that, and I do have another door in here where I can display that, but they took the time to trim this so it wasn't in the groove so they could tuck the new stuff in. Now, door panels are a pretty involved job when you do them correctly, to completely strip them down and fix all this plastic, any breaks anywhere, strip this down, go ahead and fix all of that stuff, fabricate as needed. You know, they get scrubbed clean with several different chemicals and go in a bath, you know, reupholster this, tape tape this off, so that way when you put the carpet on, you're not just splattering glue everywhere, and then this can get taped off and they get colored, because it's easier to tape the carpet off and color the doors than it is to tape off the coloring and hope to God that when you're trimming the new carpet, you don't damage the new coloring. But the carpet, as long as these doors actually take the carpet, is very quick. We can do, either me or one of my techs can have a pair of doors here, strip this carpet off, prep the surface, and put new carpet down in 30 minutes for both doors. I'm just gonna take a guess and say they probably spent more time doing whatever they did here. And I have no idea what the customer was charged. It doesn't really matter anymore. That was a few years ago. But I'll pause the camera here and show you how the carpet originally rolls over, just to show that they trimmed this. Here's another door on the shelf. We can see it rolls over and goes into the crease. So they spent the time to trim that, which probably took longer than if we just did it right. The thing we can point out is, due to their excellent adhesion technique for putting this insert back on, it's starting to come off. We haven't even done anything to this door yet. It does look like this trim was vinyl wrapped. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people vinyl wrap cars nowadays. I don't really recommend it for interior stuff, because usually when people spend a lot of money to get interiors done, they're not really looking to redo some little trim components a year later. And I could be wrong by saying this, but to my understanding, even a really good quality wrap, it's not as permanent as paint. It's a few year long thing if you drive the vehicle regularly and have, you know, normal 4 seasons in the area you live. That's what I've been told and read. That could be wrong, I don't know. But they also wrinkled it, so that's not really that great. It could have been worse, I guess. Got more wrinkles here. Got another shot of the silicone in this insert. There's a break in the door here. That might not have been there 3 years ago, I have no idea, but it's there today, so we'll take care of that while it's here. So let's flip this door over and take a look at the back and see what we got. Yep, we got the infamous screws. We see people do this all the time, and they screw into these guys here. See if we can see them. They're like little posts in the insert for the original plastic spot welds that come up in these holes. But anyway, when you put screws in these of any kind, it starts to split under there, and then that split over time spreads, and then now your insert is in way worse shape than it was before. Now, I understand sometimes you got to do things to get me by, and not everybody's paying to have professional work done, so, you know, to each their own, but I would never recommend screws. We use metal upholstery clips and melt them into the plastic studs, and then put an epoxy over them just for a little insurance, and then the insert snaps in and out of the door, so if they ever get redone again, they can pop it right off. And yeah, I mean, it's real easy. It's not that difficult, and it's strong and firm on the door. They glued the padding back on, which is good. Oh wait, I'm just now noticing. So we can see they glued this back on up here, which is, you know, that's great that they did that. They didn't fully remove it. This here, see if I can find it, right here is where the original spots are that hold this padding on the door. So they did this, by the looks of it, and then worked on the door like this. Why not just get rid of this and put new stuff on? I don't know. Fiberglass resin to try and hold this pocket in. That's what this looks like. We see that all the time too. People love trying to use fiberglass and fiberglass resin. The problem with that is it's temporary. Fiberglass does not bond with plastic. Now, it will stick, but if you give it like a little whack just right, or if I go in there with a screwdriver, it's just going to chip right off once you get it at the right angle, because it doesn't bond with it. So don't use fiberglass on plastic. It's just a temporary thing. More screws. Oh, silicone. We got more silicone. that's good to have in there, because that's going to do a great job. See if we can see more. Yeah, oh yeah, we can see the silicone in the holes here. Try and focus this. See that silicone? And this is where it's starting to come off. I'm wiggling it around, so the silicone let go. Imagine that, I wouldn't wonder why. We can see where they went right over and everything under here with that vinyl. See if we can get different lighting. See the crack here? This whole piece just wants to come right off, but the vinyl's holding it together. You can tell that this crack's been here for a long time. Like, I mean, the crack was there before, so even if the door wasn't previously worked on, we'd have to fix that. But now we have to clean off all the glue that they made a mess of in here. That's going to take a while, because as easy as that sounds, it's not difficult, but it gets very tedious. And just like when you do metal welding, it has to be extremely clean, or you're not going to do that good of a job. So now we got to spend more time doing that. Oh, but wait, look, more fiberglass resin. Seeing that now. So now we got to chip that off. These are all things that we see all the time. Sometimes customers say they did it themselves to get them by, and that's fine. I don't recommend doing those things, but when you're not in a shop setting, you don't know, and it seems like a good idea, you got to do what you got to do. But I do know that these doors were done by a shop. Now, they're not the worst we've ever seen from a shop, and I'm not trying to hate on other shops, because we're all in this game together. But at the same time, if you're going to do work like this in a shop, don't. Just don't. Just tell the customer to go somewhere else. We would never put something like this out. You know, I have another door that's almost done, and if I remember, we'll take a video of that one to show the differences of how we put stuff back together. Last thing I'm going to mention on this door is one of my techs already dismantled the other door that goes with this one. And this one doesn't have this issue, but I'm just going to use it as an example. When they put the carpet on the other door, none of this plastic was ever taped off. It took her 2 hours to get all the glue residue off from this, what should be visible plastic areas, all the way around the door. And of course, you know, if she didn't take care of that, and once we put the new carpet on and color the doors, you're just going to see like all those little bumps, and it's going to look wrong. You know, if somebody were to look directly at it. So that was also another negligent move, unfortunately. And I really dislike seeing things like this come in, too, that have been at shops. It's kind of upsetting because, you know, we have friends and acquaintances that work in other shops that do some of the most beautiful work you've ever seen. You know, they do, like, hot rod interiors, or they'll do custom exotic car interiors and do over-the-top, next-level jobs. We met up with some of them at SEMA, but not many shops do old stuff like this with a lot of plastic, and the ones that do, oftentimes I see them coming to us at some point, usually in worse shape than this, where you're just scratching your head asking yourself why. I've also seen other shops where they do good work on something that's a new vehicle or a hot rod, and they'll do a stunning job on a seat and then do this to some poor guy's OBS door panel. So if you're going to do this, just don't work on these. Or if you're going to do this to any part, just don't. That's all we ask. And again, we're not hating on shops or anything. You know, we do talk to other shops and have friends at other shops that do really good work, but there are shops out there that will absolutely trash stuff. This is like, I'm getting into a hobby and just started it yesterday type of activities going on here. And we all got to start somewhere, but for a shop that's been around a long time, shouldn't be doing something like this, I can guarantee you that. So just beware of where you're bringing your stuff. We get a lot of stuff in that unfortunately has been touched by other shops that are like this or worse. But that's all for today. This insert came off the other door that one of my techs is working on. It's the pair to the other one we've been showing. You can tell this insert was broken before they upholstered it, because they glued this, what looks to be a little piece of plastic on, and this was already broken, and we're not fixing that. What are we doing? And by the way, all the circles that you see, like these weird clean spots, silicone was the only thing holding this. She took a screwdriver, popped it behind it, and the whole thing fell right off. And they did a bad job at trimming this.